Big Mike here with
He's Entertainment.
Today's episode. We got NHL veteran Scott Thornton.
Like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button.
Hey, this is Scott Thornton. I'm about to be on this podcast. I only touch greatness.
Looking for the most beers on tap, great steaks, great staff? Head over to the John B. Pub.
We got the best beers, steaks, chicken wings, nachos in town. Come see us at the John B. Pub.
The John B. Pub, the best bar in town. Come sign up for our football pool. Say hey sent you.
The number one sports podcast in Vancouver with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
Hayes got Thornton with him. The pass, the shot is good! Yep, he's after Fisher for the cross check. Went right after him. We said he got him down. He stumbled him. And Fisher now has got to regroup and try to handle the linesman. He's been cut. I think Fisher's been cut badly. Thornton's a very good fighter. He's a rough character.
Can fight Cairns first.
Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
Another one at the other end.
I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
He's winding up for the big one.
He took one though. He took a left right on the button. Cairns throws him, but when he gets hit with one, he drops. And he got nailed with a left.
This is I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
That's a pretty good replay. That was on the chin.
Hey, there he is.
What's up, boys?
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Thanks. I'm Ryan, by the way, and this is Big Mike that you've been speaking to.
Ryan, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thank you very much.
Mike.
I always go with Big Mike.
All right, buddy. I get it.
Thank you very much for taking the time for us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all, guys. Thanks for having me on. You guys have definitely had a good lineup of tough guys on here. I feel very humbled to be included.
we were just talking about how you're probably our highest draft pick we've had on. We couldn't figure out who we had hired.
Yeah, we were just asking that.
My career kind of went down after the draft, though. That's what happened. Yeah.
Hey, you still had a good career. Anyone that can say they played that many NHL games and that long in the NHL, you had a good career.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I fooled them for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, shoot, Mike.
Yeah, we'll start with born in London, Ontario. What was childhood like, and when did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, London's a big hockey town for sure. I'm the youngest of four boys, so my three older brothers. I grew up in a rink, and my mom tells the story that I was at my first hockey game when I was 7 days old, and it wasn't long after that. It felt like I was on skates, and I think she signed me up when I was just under 3 years old. I think when I played my first sort of cross the ice league, and with three brothers or four boys kind of running around weekend arenas. I mean, we would go and spend the day there. So I played my game, and then I'd spend 6 more hours hanging around the rink watching my brothers play and just kicking a can around the parking lot and stuff like that. So I've been a rink rat my whole life. Not a bad way to grow up.
No, definitely not. There's definitely worse things you could be doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was one challenge that stands out to you from your making it up till the NHL?
Oh God, to be honest with you, my first big kind of stumbling block was getting cut from the World Junior tournament. I mean, everything was kind of going, I won't say as planned because I never had a plan. We're just playing hockey and having fun. But, I was ranked really high in the NHL draft the year I went to Team Canada's tryout for the first time. And I'd played in a couple of under 17 tournaments and things in the past already. So I was kind of in their stream, so to say. But I got cut from the team as a last cut out of Ottawa right before they were boarding the flight, literally to head over to Finland. And that was tough Like I think I was a guy that was supposed to make the team as far as the media goes, and I was playing in Belleville in the OHL and junior at the time, and I had to go kind of put the tail between my legs and go back there and but it fired me up. I handled it the right way. I got a chance to go back the next year and try out again, or at least the summer camps we started, and then made the team the next season, and it worked out great because we won gold here in Canada in Saskatoon, which was the first time the tournament had ever been in Canada, and sellout Canadian crowd in Saskatoon for that tournament, and it was awesome. One of the best highlights of my career. Truthfully, it was great.
That's definitely our favorite hockey. Me and Ryan's, like, we wait for Boxing Day every year because the World Junior is the best hockey there is, in my eyes.
Yeah, man, it's so fresh. Like, we actually had a Zoom call, believe it or not, this year with all the guys from my team, right around the tournament time, and it was super cool to hear. The stories from us guys were 49, 50, even 51-year-old guys now talking about when we were 18 and 19 years old playing in a tournament. And so we all have kind of different ideas about how that tournament went, but you always feel like you're a grown up at that age, right? We thought we were men, and now we look back and go, oh my God, like, we're just kids. Like, that's what makes a tournament exciting, is just the raw energy from those guys. There's a lot of mistakes that happen, truthfully, which makes for more entertaining hockey to watch. I find hockey pretty boring to watch when nobody's making mistakes, right? It's just kind of up and down, and it's like watching a bubble hockey game. It's just not that entertaining. And the World Juniors, there's a lot of big rushes up the ice and turnovers and big saves because goalies are out of position, and like, it's just super fun to watch that hockey, and obviously brings back a lot of fresh memories for guys like us that lived it.
And we definitely like to focus a lot on, like, the Team Canada's World Juniors or the U.S. World Juniors. Even Finland, we've been collecting people. We just always, because that's our favorite tournament to watch. So we want to be able to be like, oh, we've had this guy, we've talked to this guy, we've talked to this guy. It's pretty awesome knowing that we've got these guys, and even going forward into the NHL, having all the prospects. You now get to spend your next 10, 15 years watching these prospects play, and knowing that you've had a conversation with them is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's got their careers kind of on the upward trajectory at that age, right? Yeah. And it was interesting for us as you see the guys that made it and played long careers, and there's a lot of guys that's kind of was the pinnacle of their career at that age, and ended up maybe in the minors or going to Europe and playing and carried on. But then you have guys like Scott Niedermayer was on my team, who was a 16-year-old, I think, and was our 6th or even 7th defenseman, and barely got any ice time, that ended up being multiple Stanley Cups, Hall of Fame career, and the story goes, right? So you have guys like that, and then you have other guys that that was kind of the best part of their playing career, and but their perspective when they're young is super optimistic about life and where they're going to go, and as it should be, man. They're definitely on their way.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would you say you tried to mirror your game after, try and play like when you were growing up, like going through junior and stuff? Who'd you look up to?
Yeah, 2 guys in particular. One I had the chance to play with, which was Wendell Clark. He was, I love the way Clarkie played in Toronto, and I got to play with him and, get, mentored by him a little bit in Toronto when I was, a young kid. And then Mark Messier was the other guy for me. And those guys aren't that much older than me, but that's when I really started to understand the game a little bit. I had childhood idols when I'd play road hockey and things like that. But truly, when I started to kind of understand what was going on, I mean, Mark Messier I loved the way he skated. I loved the way he just snarled at people, and he was tough. And, he'd hoist the cup every year, and, he'd see him in the odd fight, or he'd cross-check some guy in the face. Like, I just loved that. And Wendell Clark the same. I mean, Wendell was, pretty small in stature, man. Especially when I met him, I couldn't believe.
Captain Crunch is tough.
Yeah, man, not a very big guy, 5'10" or something he was, and maybe 185 pounds, and skinny little calves on him about this big. And I was like, man, this guy, he generated so much power and force when he hit guys. It was so fun to watch. And I mean, he had a wrist shot. He'd score from the blue line and wrist shots. And of course, we all know that he could scrap with any of them. So, yeah, those were definitely my two guys that I really liked. Obviously, I liked kind of tougher hockey when I was little because, if those were two guys that I tried to be like, then I had to learn how to fight a little bit myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite sports movie?
It's got to be Slapshot. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete with that. I mean, I like a lot of them, but that for sure. I mean, that movie we still quoted that movie in the locker room. And 2008 I retired, and guys are still dropping Slapshot lines in a locker room. So I mean, that is what it is. It's still funny. If I watch it now, it's still funny to me. So, hands down, I think the best sports movie ever.
Yeah, I agree. Any pregame rituals or routines for you?
Nothing kind of crazy. You kind of eat the same way, I guess, and the rituals would kind of start, everyone kind of took a nap in the afternoon. We kind of eat the same around lunchtime, noon or 1 o'clock, usually at home or on the road. And guys usually try to lay down or go for a walk or do something in the afternoon just to kind of calm your mind down a little bit and recover and get some energy for the game. And then I always went to the game at the same time, usually drive the same way, but that's just because there's a coffee shop in the way or whatever. And, once you get to the rink, it's usually treatment because I was hurt a lot. So it's always, therapy and treatment, and then, start chopping sticks down and getting them ready. And the only time I had a real strict routine was when I played in Dallas, because it's the only team that had the final 3 songs that they would play before the music went off. And typically music goes off about 30 minutes before warm up. And so it was always three Metallica songs. And so when that song started, you kind of knew like how much time you had left. And it's like, okay, refill my coffee, grab my stick, go to the bathroom, hit my stall, and start to get dressed. And then when the music shuts off, it's go time. You got about 20 minutes to suit up in the quiet room, and then the chirping all starts, or warm up, and then it's game time. It's a lot of fun.
I always have the one. I have to sit in the exact same spot every time. But mine's I'm a germaphobe, so I always sit on the end, so there's nobody beside me on the left-hand side. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have our own stalls, right? So we're always at the same spot. But
I'm thinking, talking beer league.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff like that. I mean, there's guys that, I was never really too superstitions add a lot of pressure. And I think I listened to Matthew Barnaby on your podcast a little bit, and I think Barney kind of said the same thing, that I think we start out maybe a little bit more superstitious than we finish because the pressure gets to you, and there's never a perfect day. There's always something that happens. If you're on the road, you miss a cab, or going to the rink early and you miss your taxis, or you can't get a car or whatever. So you just got to kind of roll with it, and it becomes more like a comfort thing. But for me, it was never anything where I put a ton of pressure on myself. I mean, I played with some crazy guys. Like I played with the guy John McIntyre my first year in Toronto, and when he would park his car in the stall, he would literally walk around his car and make sure that his tires were evenly spaced between the yellow lines, and he would touch his bump. He would be touching his bumper and the hood, and like doing all this witchcraft stuff. And his locker stall, like we would fold our gear and hang him in another room, and he would fold all his clothes up and put them under his stall on the bench. And I just, I love Johnny Mac. If he ever watches this, I hope he doesn't think I'm making fun of him. Well, I'm kind of making fun of him, but it's,
that's a good ex-Canuck too.
Yeah, that's right. He is. Yeah. But really super nice guy. But I just, I saw that early in my career, and I was like, okay, I can't turn into that, man. Like it's enough pressure doing what we do on the ice. I don't want to do that too.
No, absolutely. Take me back to your first goal, and do you still have the puck?
I do actually. It was an ugly one. It went off my skate, but it was. I didn't even know I scored until everyone else raised their hands up. But that's classic, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was in It was in Toronto against Chicago, and Eddie Belfour was in net, and I believe it was a point shot from Rob Ramage, I think, who was playing with me in Toronto my first year, and. Of course, I was standing in front of the net where good things happen, and it went off. I don't even know if I got a stick on it or if it just went off my skate or shin pad or something, but I'll take it.
Yeah, especially against Eddie Belfour. That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, Eddie was good back in Chicago days, and had a chance to play with Eddie in Dallas later in my career too. And a good guy, great goaltender, real competitor.
So
and then
okay,
go ahead.
Mike.
No, go. I was going to hit him with another one. Take me back to your second fight with Eric Cairns when you KO'd him.
Oh man, it got lucky. He's a big dude, man, and he's definitely a good scrapper. And that year against that was a fight in Madison Square, I believe that fight was in New York, and I had kind of fought all their guys that year. I fought Shane Churla at home. I believe Sandy McCarthy was there at the time too, and then I fought Darren Langdon in New York, and then had Eric Cairns there too. And I mean, he's a big guy. I was trying to kind of get up under him a little bit, and I just took a real big gamble, and I switched from. He had me all tied up on the right side, and I just sort of let go with my left and threw a big haymaker and just kind of hit him in the right spot, thankfully, because if I would have missed, I would have been in a whole lot of trouble because he would have been wide. He would have been wide open at that point. So every now and then you get kind of lucky like that.
Yeah.
So if you could sit down for dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh gosh, man, that's a heavy question, eh?
We usually say someone famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite actors of all time, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, but I did get a chance to golf with him, not name dropping, but I had a chance to golf with him in LA. My wife bid on a golf day with him at a charity auction. And so I took a few of my teammates and we went and golfed with him, which was a huge honor to do that. I love Samuel Jackson. The guy's such a beast.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I like fighters. So like Chuck Liddell would be a lot of fun to meet Chuck and, you know, see how he's doing now after all those years of kind of battle.
That's one guy where,
you know, yeah, Chuck and you know, Randy Couture as well. Two of my favorite UFC fighters would be amazing. You know,
2 hours ago,
hockey guy. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying 2 hours ago we just had on Ken Shamrock, so it's funny you say UFC fighters.
Actually, he came in. They had some fights in San Jose when I was there, and he came in our locker room and talked to us and walked out the next Shark jersey on, which was really cool. So we met him. Yeah, he's a super intense guy. There's quite a documentary on him.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, as far as sports go, like, you know, hockey guys have, you know, you kind of meet them all in some way or another at golf tournaments and stuff like that. And had a chance to obviously meet Wayne Gretzky a few times and played in his golf tournament here a couple times, and who would be obviously a big idol to meet, you know. Mario, I had the chance to meet Mario early on, and, you know, those guys, I guess, you know, comedians for me would be a lot more entertaining, you know, like meet Bill Burr or somebody like that, or Joe Rogan, and kind of hang with those guys would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, see, I always say comedian, and I go with Seth Rogen. And
yeah, man, yeah.
To sit down with Seth Rogen would be pretty awesome.
That's because you're in BC. That's why, man.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
I would have to definitely. I always go with Muhammad Ali or Wayne Gretzky.
Oh yeah, Muhammad would be amazing too. Yeah.
And then
didn't Seth do a show there, like in Vancouver? He drove around with like looking at restaurant. Doesn't he have like a little mini series or?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
He went around with a restaurant guy in Vancouver. I remember seeing it.
They did like a food tasting thing. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, they're just smoking great big.
Oh yeah.
Big blunts all day long, and it's hilarious. Like, that guy is a beauty, man. He would be a lot of fun, actually.
I think that would be a great time. And one thing you were saying there when you're in San Jose and meeting UFC guys, did you ever run into Mike Goldberg? The UFC announcer. He's a big Sharks fan and friends of Joe's.
Is that right? Yeah. No, I never did see him there. He might have been around a little bit later once Joe got there, and they had the Metallica started coming around. Like, some of those guys came around.
Yeah, he's a Sharks season ticket holder. So
yeah. Neil Young was there quite a bit with us. Went to a lot of the games, which is again one of my idols. That guy's amazing. And but Metallica wasn't around, back in the day. But yeah, Buffer was around a little bit in LA.
Okay.
But never met Goldberg. No.
So since we brought up cousin Joe, did you guys really get to grow up much together? Did you guys have a bunch of battles playing hockey together, that kind of thing? Or
no, he's quite a bit younger than me, Joe, right? So he's almost 10 years younger. So, he's got two older brothers that are more, closer to my age. His oldest brother's my age, and there's one in between there. So I would have been with his brother Alex quite a bit growing up, playing baseball and hockey and stuff like that with him. And then I left home at 16 to go play junior hockey. So, Joe would have been baby Joe at 6 or 7, kind of running around. But over the years, obviously we've kept in touch and always had a chance to visit with him a little bit when we were in Boston or playing against him there. And then, and then when he was traded to San Jose, I was very fortunate to still be there and have a chance to play with him. And, our dads are brothers, so they, it was amazing for the whole Thornton family, not just Joe and I. And, but his dad and my dad would travel a little bit together, and they'd go see games. They'd be in Nashville to watch a game, or they'd be in Detroit together and Toronto. Like, it was a lot of fun, man. It was real special for me because we're cousins, but it was also really cool for me to get to know him as an adult and a star player in the game and a mature guy now. And, it changed our relationship a little bit, and I'm certainly super grateful. It's probably one of my favorite, 5 or 6 months of the game was having a chance to play with him in San Jose for sure.
Because I know he always says that you're his sports idol.
I don't know about that. It is funny though. Like, I tease him a little bit because I did get an autograph request from him when I was playing, and he asked me to make sure that I signed it. Your cousin Scott, because he goes, nobody at school believes I'm related to you. So anyway, I used to kind of joke with him a little bit about that, but now I'm asking him for signed jerseys and stuff like that for my house. Right? Now he won't take my call. No, just kidding. But it's good. I mean, he's such a big kid, man, and at his age now, and playing the way he is, he's having a ton of fun. And every time I call him or text him or whatever, he's super excited to be playing the game, going to the rink every day, and that's contagious, man. Like, that rubs off through the locker room. And it takes a little bit of the edge off everybody all the time. And I don't think people understand how stressful it can be at times, especially when things are going bad. And guys like Joe can walk into a locker room with a big grin on and just kind of put a new perspective on it and be like, hey, boys, it's just a sport. Like, we're just playing the game. Let's go home, have a beer, get some rest. We'll show up here tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. And, I'm pumped for him. I hope, cross my fingers. I know you guys are out west, but I hope they go deep in playoffs and really make a good run, because he deserves it.
He does. He's one of the players that like I'm a huge Canucks fan, massive Canucks fan, obviously, but he's one of those players I've always said, like, he deserves a cup. He really does. He's one of the best Canadians. Like, he deserves a cup. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, like when I was in Dallas, we went into Colorado in the conference finals, and that was when Ray Bourque signed in Colorado. And of course, everybody wanted Ray Bourque to win. I mean, the guy's 21 seasons or whatever, 20 seasons in Boston. And, whatever, 15 All-Star games, and like definitely a Hall of Fame career guy. But he had to move somewhere else to go win, and fortunately for me, we beat them that year, and he stuck around to play another season and won the cup, which was great for Ray Bourque. I just didn't want to lose to Ray Bourque. I wanted to win the cup as much as Ray Bourque wanted to win the cup. Let's put it that way. But definitely, as guys get on in age, you're kind of like, man, I hope he gets to hoist it. It shouldn't be something that justifies your career in the game. Not at all, because there's a lot of really good hockey players, Hall of Fame guys that don't win a Stanley Cup. But I'll tell you, when I introduce my friends to people that have won the cup, that's usually what I start with. Man, here, this is my buddy. I have Aaron Downey, he lives pretty close to me here, and whenever I introduce Aaron Downey to somebody, I'm always like, yeah, this guy won the cup with Detroit, man. Like that, you know what I mean? It kind of brings you to another level, and I certainly hope Joe has a chance, and I would like to go to the Stanley to the party for sure.
Yeah, you think of guys like Dan Marino, like that never won, great player, and then just never got that championship.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Shane Doan, another guy, right? I don't think
Shane Doan for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he ever left Arizona, right? So
no.
Yeah, I mean, the guy played till he's 42 years old, 43 years old, and Patrick Marleau, another guy that's going to probably break Gordie Howe's record for most games played ever.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
And never even gone to Cup finals once. I guess that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough trophy to win, man, and it sure makes me look at some young guys that get called up out of the minors or whatever, and get to they're in the taxi squad, and then they get to play that year and win a cup, and I'm just like, man, does that guy even know how lucky he is right now? I feel like you should play 10 years before you even think about making it to the finals. And
I think of a guy like Theo Fleury that won the cup in his rookie season in '89 in Calgary, and then he never really got back there ever again. Yeah,
I mean, I was playing in the minors at Cape Breton for Edmonton's farm club, and in the early '90s, 93 it was, and there's three guys that we beat out in Fredericton, which was Montreal's farm team. Gilbert Dion, DiPietro, and Johnny Leclerc, I think it was. And those guys all got called up to Montreal after losing out in the minors, and due to injuries and whatnot, got thrown in the lineup, and they all got Stanley Cups that year, '93.
Oh.
And I was like, man, like 6 weeks ago, I just beat those guys out in the minors, and now they're hoisting a cup. Good on them. I just, it's just fortunate to be where you are at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of luck to where you are.
Damn right. Yeah.
Who would you say the best player you played with and against?
Oh, tough one, man. I would have to say the best skill guy, Gretzky, would have to be there for sure. Mario Lemieux to me was, I think, the most difficult guy to play against. I mean, he was just so big, like different than Wayne. Wayne was a little bit elusive sometimes, like he would just sort of disappear. And that was his skill. And then at the end of the night, he'd have 5 points. You'd be like, holy shit. But Mario, so big and dominant. He could dangle around guys, split defensemen, do whatever, but you couldn't take the puck because he was a monster. Bigger presence on the ice. That guy, but man, oh man, like Pavel Bure was, Eric Lindros when Big E was his first few years in Legion of Doom line in Philly. There was definitely some greats there. Teemu Selanne, who I played with in San Jose for a couple of years. Man, you name it, like Sakic, Forsberg. Like there was so many guys around. But Mario, to me, I'll tell you a quick story, guys. My first year with Toronto, we went into Pittsburgh, and we were winning 3-0 after the first period. And I was like, wow, this is, things are going pretty well here, boys. Let's keep her going. And Mario came out and got 7 points in the second period. We lost the game 12-4. And I swear it was like I was playing defense on our power play by the third period because our coach was like just putting anybody on the ice, any combinations or whatever. Mario lit it up, and I swear, like I can just picture Mario after the first period with a cigarette, taking a big drag, putting a cigarette out, and going, "Okay, boys, let's go start playing now." And then he just turned, he just came out and lit us up in the second period. And I've never seen, a clinic like that in the NHL. Like it is, I mean, I've played against some like tons of Hall of Fame guys, and like that guy was just Jaeger too there, but Mario was unreal.
Yeah, you think if Yager had never have left for those few years to go play in Europe, he very well could have already been past Gordie Howe.
Yeah, potentially, right? I mean, that's another guy that just played forever. He's still playing, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely he's playing over in Czech or something.
Yeah, I think he's got like a 19-year-old girlfriend. Of course he's still playing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he's either single with no kids or he's gambled all his money away and he's still trying to earn something.
Hanging on to his youth.
That's right.
What do you think of that new goal they're scoring, that Michigan or Lacrosse Goal they call it?
Yeah, man, obviously I never had the skill to do that, nor would we even practice that, right? Like we would have been, the game has changed and developed in so many different ways that, we wouldn't have practiced shootouts. We wouldn't have practiced because you never get breakaways, right? Like there was, one every 5 games by somebody maybe or something. But, nowadays kids are practicing all that skill stuff. Bill, they call it, I want to say it was Bill Armstrong. Was he the first guy that actually did that at Western Michigan University?
The Michigan guy, and it was not Armstrong. He actually lives here in Maple Ridge.
I'm pretty sure the guy that did it the first that never got credit for it was a guy I played junior B with.
Oh, really?
It was the guy from Michigan stole it from somebody that he'd seen it done it before.
Okay.
Googling on the air.
I think it was Billy Armstrong at Western Michigan. I'm trying to give Billy a bit of credit here, but I think he was the first guy to do it. But anyway,
Mike Legg was the name of the guy that made it famous. Mike Legg.
Right. Anyway, I can't even pick the puck up like that, let alone do that in the middle of a game. Like I used to screw around at the end of practice and try to do that, and I couldn't do it. I think you need a really good heel curve to be able to scoop the puck, and
the ice needs to be pretty good.
I don't know.
The ice needs to be pretty good because I can do it in beer league, but you need to have like pretty fresh tape, or your tape has to be dry. Right. It has to be dry, so it needs to happen in the start of the period. And for me, in beer league, you're not changing your stick tape every period.
Right.
So, by after your first few shifts, you can't really do it. And the ice needs
I'd be using the sticky Gordie Howe tape. I'd be using that stuff to see if it worked. I mean, we would, if I ever tried something like that in a game, like I wouldn't see the ice again. I mean, there's no way. There's no way in hell I would try that.
Yeah, they try to do that to be a beer league.
Yeah, right. But it's cool to watch. I mean, I think it's legit, and now guys are doing it on breakaways and picking it up and spinning, and I mean, it's unbelievable to watch. I watch some of the YouTube stuff, man, and the skills that kids have now are ridiculous, and because of the rules changing over the years, it's allowing some of that to get into the NHL. Most of that stuff was beer league, and if you bring that to the NHL, you're going to get run over. Like somebody's just going to knock you on your ass, right? And nowadays with the rules, it's allowing some of that to sneak into the game, and so that's guys are doing more and more of it, practicing at home, and it's cool. It's fun to watch. Makes it exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Scott, you fought a bunch of tough guys in your career. Some like Churla, Pronger, Grimson, Didick, and Brashear. Who would you say the toughest was?
Paul Louse and I fought a lot. And Paul was an Ontario League guy too, and then was down in Florida when I was in Montreal in the East, and hit me hard. Every time I fought him, he hit me hard. And we had a lot of good fights. And and he was just relentless. Like it would, we'd be up. I fought him one night in Montreal with 34 seconds left on the clock. We were winning 5-1, and he comes over the boards. I'm out for the face off, and he kind of looks at me, and I'm like, "Come on, really?" Like, and he just comes straight for me, right? So there's no way I would never turn fights down, really. So it's like I have to fight him, but he was the one who kind of gave me the most trouble, and I fought him a lot too. And Ty Domi, I fought in Winnipeg one night when I was with Edmonton, and lucky for me, Ty didn't even throw any punches. He just literally kind of wrapped me in a bear hug, and he grabbed the boards. We were right in front of the bench, and he grabbed the boards with both hands, and I was like in a straitjacket. I couldn't move. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, this guy's strong, but anyway, but yeah, Lauser was tough as nails, man. That guy just kept coming. I think he had almost 40 fights in 1 year when he was down in Florida. Tough competitor. Always knew going into the game, or if I saw the schedule, that I was probably going to end up fighting him that night.
That's awesome. I saw the one with Brashear today when Brashear was in Montreal. Man, he looked young. He must have been like 19, 20, like fresh in the league.
Yeah, Brash was strong as a bull, man, that guy. And I played with him and played on a line with him in Montreal when I went there. And I mean, he was a guy like, I remember guys doing bench press in the locker room, and Brash would come and stand over them and grab the bar and do arm curls over top of them, and then hand the bar back to the boys to finish doing bench press. Like, he was so strong.
Totally.
And, definitely, but Brash, early on in Brash's career, he didn't throw a ton of punches. He was a bit of a grappler, and I think he kind of knew getting in there that, he started to open up a little bit later and throw more powerful punches, but the story on him early in his career was it was going to be a lot of rabbit punches. The back of your head was going to be sore. But usually it was a tight wrestle match. And I was more afraid of the guys that stood back and just threw bombs. And going into those fights, you knew this is going to end, either good or bad. And I just hope I'm on the right side of it when it's over.
I know a lot of guys these days for recovery and stuff, they're using a bunch of like CBD and stuff. Did you guys ever have that back in the day?
No, nowadays I'll use CBD pills now once in a while. I'm not as consistent as I should, but I'll definitely use them. I have achy old joints and bad shoulders and stuff. And we drink a 6-pack of beer after the game and hope the pain goes away. And it's not the obvious way to live, but that's the truth. That's what we did. We, 6-pack of beer and get a bit of food and Tylenol, Motrin, things like that. But, that was about all. I wish there was more of that stuff around. It would have maybe let me play in a little bit less pain, throughout my career. But yeah, definitely need it now that I'm older.
Who was the hardest ass coach you say you have during your career?
It has to be Darryl Sutter, I think. It have to be Darryl, I would say. Like, he was, like, in a good way though, right? Like, Darryl was he's as honest as they come, and but very straight-faced guy. Doesn't kind of let you in very much, but he doesn't let you off the hook with anything. From the top of the roster down, he always kind of pushes buttons constantly to kind of keep you, when things are going. Like, I remember, I got to San Jose and I'm playing with Ricci and Sundstrom, and we were on a bit of a tear. We were scoring a bunch of goals and doing really well for a third line. And we went on a road trip out East Coast. And I remember Ricci saying, just get ready to get benched one of these nights. And I was like, what are you talking about, get benched? And he goes, well, things are going too well. Daryl's going to bench us pretty soon. And I kind of didn't understand. Well, sure enough, we go into Tampa or something and we sit for an entire period. But he would always just push these little buttons, right? And I won't call it head games because it wasn't like that. But he just knew how to kind of motivate you and poke you a little bit. And for me, I hated him at times, but for the most part, I absolutely love the guy. And for me, if he just gave me a little nod out of the corner of his eye or whatever, and shake his head or give me a little thumbs up or something, like, I knew I did something really good that game. And it's almost like you want to please your dad, like that was kind of guy he was. And it was like, man, I just want to play hard for this guy and make him happy. But he was tough, bitter beer face, and he's still doing it, man. It's really cool to see him out there.
Yeah.
What's your go-to drink?
Like now?
Yeah.
I like my whiskey now. A hockey guy, so we always drank beer for many years, and I still drink beer. Not a lot of it though, because you gotta kind of watch the old belly now when we're getting a bit older. I'll settle in with a little whiskey at night or a little scotch or whatever, and watch a bit of TV and stuff. And I held off for one tonight before the podcast, but I'll probably go down and pour one after dinner tonight for sure.
Yeah.
How nice was it ending your career in LA?
Yeah, it was amazing, man. Like for me, Dean Lombardi brought me down, and Dean was who signed me to San Jose, and had 6 really good years with that organization. And I kind of thought my career was done. Doug Wilson in San Jose told me he wasn't going to bring me back, and Dean called me when he got hired in LA, and he said, be interested in coming down. I'm going to do a full rebuild here, and I want to get a couple character guys like you in the locker room to help kind of change the culture. And so it was awesome. Dean signed me to a 2-year deal. I knew I was probably going to be done at the end of that. And, it wasn't without growing pains there. Like we didn't win a lot right off the hop and missed playoffs both years. But I love being in LA. It was great. My kids, were growing up a little bit, so they had a chance to kind of get in the ocean and try surfing and like do stuff outside of the arena, which was a ton of fun. And, and at the end of the day, I played my last 2 home games. Dean actually called me in at the trade deadline, and I had a no trade clause just because I was old, and not because I was a star player, but he called me at the deadline, and he said he thought he had me traded to Pittsburgh. And I said, well, this, would you mind me taking 24 hours to think about this? And so Dean was a bit surprised that I said that. And anyway, I went home, and I was beat up, man. And my back was bad, and I was getting injections in my back to try and keep me in the lineup. And so anyway, I talked to my family and my wife and kids, and went in the next day and thanked Dean for trying to put me in Pittsburgh. But I said, I think I'm done. I'm just going to play it out here. And, and it was the right thing for me. I knew I was going to be done. My body couldn't handle another playoff run, I didn't think. And I was pretty beat up. And the way the script played out, last 2 home games, and I flew everybody out to LA, my parents, my brothers, and all my nephews, and some friends were there. 17 or 18 people at the game, and at the last 2 home games. And then they came in a bus, and at my last game, we did a jersey giveaway in LA at game 82, and they actually called my wife onto the ice. So I gave her my jersey at the end of the game, which was really cool. And I got to have a good after party with a bunch of family and stuff in LA for a couple of days. And I couldn't have written a better script. And to top it off, Pittsburgh lost that year to Detroit, I think. But as they were going deep in playoffs, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe if they would have won the cup, it would have crushed me. But they didn't win the cup that year, and they won it the next year, but I was already retired. So anyway, it was good. I loved LA. I still go back to visit. Obviously during COVID times, I haven't been back there in a year or so, but Rob Blake's a teammate of mine there, is a general manager there now, and still talk to Blakey a little bit here and there, and wish him the best. And Kopitar and Brown were both there. We're both rookies that kind of sat beside me in the locker room, and 2 really good young kids, and to see them grow up and to be captains and leaders, and now 2-time Stanley Cup winners there, it's pretty special. It feels like little brothers kind of hoisting the cup. So a lot of fun. It was great to see those guys do that, and still have some good connections down in LA. It was a good organization to play for.
And nothing.
That's
like
awesome.
Getting to ride out into the sunset.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was fun at the end of it. Like, if I was scratched from a game or I was hurt or whatever, like I would go down to the beach and stand up paddleboard, and I'd paddle out past the break, and there'd be dolphins swimming around, and I'm just out there in the ocean paddling, going, man, it doesn't get any better than this. So, I knew it was going to be short-lived. I knew I was going to move back to Canada. So every morning I'd grab a coffee before practice. I'd get up really early and grab a coffee, and I'd go down to the beach, and I'd sit in my car and watch the guys surf and everything, and spend a half an hour there, and then I'd go to the rink and get ready to practice. And I loved it. It's a nice way of living out there for sure.
That is pretty sweet. What are you up to these days?
I'm busy. I've had a couple different kind of businesses over the years since retiring, and our main kind of business here is a Scandinav Spa, which we're a franchise of the main one in Quebec. But that's what I was just gonna ask. I know Vincent Danfous, one of your teammates, owns one in Montreal. Is it connected? Yes, and Whistler as well. They have one out there.
Okay.
And Vinny and I were roommates. Here's another thing. I played with Vinny on 4 different teams over the years. Believe it or not, we got traded from Toronto to Edmonton together, and then he went to Montreal. I followed 3 years later. Crazy. Like Vinny and I go way back. So that was a connection, and he had some family here as well that started the spa. I just invested in it. So that's been going for 15 years now, actually. And, I opened a gym when I retired. I had a CrossFit gym for 7 years, and before I sold out of that, but it was good. I started a CrossFit, like an event company that was running competitions, and kind of stuck close to the fitness world. And, but now I'm kind of out of that scene a little bit, and I'm riding motorcycles and doing a bit of enduro and rally racing, and just kind of staying healthy and having some fun.
Nice. Living the life.
Trying to, man. Yeah. Got to keep this whole body moving. That's the hard part now, is all those old injuries are creeping back in. So it's just a daily struggle and CBD to get me through the day.
Yeah, I hear you. So I gotta ask, you've obviously been in Vancouver many times in your playing days. You ever went to the Roxy?
Dude, are you kidding me? I mean, yeah. I mean, that city is it's the top 2 or 3 spots for everybody that played the game, right? I mean, Montreal for sure was one of the top places, and I had a chance to play there. Vancouver, the Roxy's amazing. Like what a wicked place to go. And we were there every time we were in town for sure. But even just the cityscape, right? To grab a coffee and go for a walk down the harbor and be able to see the snowy mountains and everything. And a sunny day in Vancouver it's one of the greatest cities in the world, I think. And it does rain a lot for sure, but man, it's a beautiful city there. And I loved it. We always stayed down the harbor, right? So we were always down around the water. And
yeah,
I was an early riser my whole career, so I'd get up and grab a coffee and go for a walk down the boardwalk. It's watch the seagulls and boats and planes and everything. And I love that town, man. But the Roxy is something I miss for sure. I would definitely be a creepy old man in there now, I'll tell you.
Hey, Scott, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time for us today, coming on. You're an absolute beauty. Like, this went awesome. This is one of our best ones we've ever had. It just went flowing, and we appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it, and keep doing what you do. I love you guys are getting a ton of fighters on here, man, and multi-sport guys and UFC. So you've created a fan in me now. So I'll be listening, boys. Keep her going. It's awesome.
If you're looking for a mug, perhaps a hoodie, head on over to IOnlyTouchGreatness.com.
Looking for the most beers on tap, great steaks, great staff? Head over to the John B. Pub.
We got the best beers, steaks, chicken wings, nachos in town. Come see us at the John B. Pub.
The John B. Pub, the best bar in town. Come sign up for our football pool. Say Hayes sent you.